You guys, I made a video earlier talking about what it was like being divorced, and I was explaining what my ex-husband was like because he wasn't like a wife beater or a narcissist like a lot of these men who are left by their wives. And someone left a comment, he sounds like a great guy. I don't know why you left him. And that's because I didn't explain well in the video how I felt. Didn't explain to you guys how I felt. I didn't go into that at all. And the way I felt the last 3 years of our marriage, the way I felt was alternating between being happy with him and the painful feelings were anger. The anger, I'm okay with anger because I can be angry at someone and go to sleep. But the feeling I had a lot of trouble with was the emotional pain, the immense pain I felt when I longed for him so much, sexually and emotionally longed for him, because I had a lot of meaning also invested the fact that he was my husband and the father of my children. There was so much meaning invested in what that meant to me and the connection I wanted with him. And when he refused that to me, it was often very painful. Sometimes I would be angry, but when I was angry, I can go to sleep. I can be mad and go to sleep. That's no problem. But when that pain, and I can feel rejected and go to sleep, but that pain was very intense. And there were times it was so intense I couldn't sleep. And I remember just the pain was so intense. I was like, I have to figure out what to do. Someone's got to knock me over the head with the frying pan to knock me out so I don't have to feel this. I don't want to feel this. There was something definitely, it's the feeling people have when someone dies, there's a breakup, a loss like that. It's very intense. It makes a lot of like, if you listen to 12 step meetings where people relapse, it's because someone died or there was a breakup. And it has chemical changes in the brain. People, that's why they have divorce support groups, grief support groups. It's a very difficult thing. And I was experiencing the same feelings while I was still with him. That's why when I finally did leave him, I didn't have any more of those feelings because they were all before. And then by the time I had finished suffering through all those feelings and it was done, I just was done. That's why. But I couldn't figure out what to do with those feelings. They were so intense, and I'd never had feelings that intense. I started crying a lot, and my kids were shocked because they had never seen me cry. Now you might ask, why did I start crying? Because I started wanting a connection with him. I'd never had a normal, healthy connection. And it was very painful to me when I didn't get it. It was very painful. I'm not saying that I couldn't handle it better now, but I couldn't handle it then. I'm going to say it was unhealthy of him to withhold from me, but maybe with today's tools, I could handle the pain better and have left sooner. But what it was like for me, so many times I wanted to be knocked over the head with a frying pan. And I tried different things. I tried going out. Why don't I go out and distract myself? And I went out and played some pool or something. I don't know, it was some live music. And these young guys came up to me and started flirting with me. And I wasn't interested in them. I wanted my husband. None of that helped. I went home. I still had trouble sleeping. Of course, most of the time I was happy with him. When I was angry with him, I could just go to sleep. I can go to sleep when I'm mad. But when I was hurt, it was very difficult. And I thought, well, maybe if I drink, it'll numb my feelings. So I stayed up drinking till like 5 in the morning, and I didn't get tired. It didn't numb my feelings, and I was just as upset, except I was a little tipsy, and I felt less in control of being able to handle my feelings. So that was bad. Another time I called that therapist that helped me get off the Vicodin, and she suggested Xanax. I didn't want to take Xanax, but I was desperate. So I tried the Xanax twice, and it didn't help. It just made me woozy, and I still had those feelings, those dreadful, heavy feeling that clouded everything to where I couldn't laugh when my boss made jokes. I uh, I was just like sad. I was talking to my friends like, I'm so sad, and we would cry together, and I would cry. And I didn't tell that very many people about it because, I didn't want to. I didn't want to. Nobody knew except my two of my best friends knew. And when I left him, everyone was really shocked. They thought I was so in love with him, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to go crying to everyone. I just cried with my two closest friends. Um, but I told the lady I don't want the Xanax, and the other therapist I saw at Kaiser, she I don't think she recommended anything. No one helped me with this pain. They were just like, oh, I know what they said. Well, if your husband is pushing you away, it's normal that you feel sad. Of course, you would feel sad. The reason I got into my whole coaching thing is because of that pain, because I'm like finally figured out how to get through the pain, and that's somatically by going through it. Also, the inner child healing is good. I've gone through a lot of pain since my divorce with guys that I had sex with who blew me off, and that was very painful. So I finally stopped doing it. I learned that when I go into the pain and release the object I was attached to, I feel this acceleration and joy. I've experienced that a few times. I have noticed that one thing that makes me feel calm when I'm in pain, or like over a guy that's rejected me. It's been a year since this happened, but going to like a very peaceful, nice tree. I have a certain tree in my neighborhood, and standing under that tree, and I feel all this peace. Um, the somatic thing, but sometimes, what I've learned is to not get myself into situations where I long for men who don't want to give me anything. Where I long for men who are just fuck boys or emotionally walled off. Basically, I don't get myself in situations anymore where I long for men who are emotionally unavailable. So that's it. And there's a lot of pain uh, wanting love from someone who doesn't want to give it to you for whatever reason. It's very painful, especially, really wanting it from them. It's like processing the death of it's a death. By the time I left him, I didn't even cry. I felt so much peace. I was at peace. The only things I've felt since my divorce, I've had a hard time forgiving him. That's been hard for me. That's my own problem. I've had some blind spots in not knowing how to forgive him. I was very focused on how much he wronged me by not giving me what I wanted. And that was in my way. It was just only in the last few months that I was able to let that go. Um, I didn't know how to let it go. I just could only see that I was wronged, and I was trying to make sense of, what happened and explaining it. And I just realized I can't explain it. Our relationship was what it was. I can't put it into words. I'm just telling you some of the experiences I had. Um, so I don't want to put it into words. I don't want to blame him. The best thing for me to do going forward in life is to look forward. Um, and so one thing I've been trying to do is go back into my feelings about it so I can be with them so that I can really let them go, because having these feelings still there unresolved, not really addressing them, has been a reason I think that I felt wronged. But those were my feelings, and yeah, all I can do is just instead of focusing on, oh, what could I have done differently? Should I have left? That's what kept me stuck. Is I don't have to explain any of that. It was the life flows, and just to be with the feelings instead of trying to make sense of things, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that I would be married to this great guy who kept pushing me away and was emotionally walled off. And I can't explain it. And that I stayed, and I don't want to explain it. I don't think that words can explain it. But yeah, I mean, not everything is easily explainable, and life can be full of all kinds of things. But I really think that women only leave a man if they've been very emotionally hurt, and maybe men the same way. People don't easily leave a relationship, especially if they have children, and children really keep people together, for sure. Children really keep people together. Wanting to be part of a family keeps people together. And your family can be your kids, or they can be your pets. People get attached to their pets too. Um, okay, I'm going to link the first video in the description if you want to watch that one. And good night, you guys. I need to go to bed.